Hi everyone and welcome back to the podcast. I have beautiful Iesha on today and I'm so happy that you're here. We haven't really even been talking about doing this episode for that long, but as soon as we started talking about it, I was like, yeah, that's what I need. That's what I need. I feel like we have loads that we could just yap on about, as we've probably been doing for the past half an hour.
Yeah.
Anyway. But I feel like there's so many different things that we could talk about today. Number one, I can't believe that we actually went to the same did we go to the same primary school?
Yeah.
The same high school?
Momentarily, yeah.
Oh my god.
So I transitioned from hilarious that I'm Muslim and I went to a Catholic school. So Our Ladies. So yeah, I went to Our Ladies, transitioned to St. Martin's, and then
that
physically
makes sense.
hated that school.
I couldn't
and then
remember
went back to Our Ladies, yeah.
If my memory was right.
Yeah. Because there was like 3 of us in the school that were of colour.
Yeah, I know.
So that's why it was like we probably remembered each other.
That is actually so true.
There was just 3 of us.
Isn't it crazy? Like, I know we were saying that was one of the things that we were going to talk about, but when I think about school, I just remember feeling like so confused.
Oh.
Like, because I remember just being like, my head was in the clouds. I have like, so my dad's white, but I'm close to my half brother and sister who are also white. So I never knew a world where I was like different. Yeah. And then I remember going into, so my first, God, this is me talking and like you're literally the podcast.
No, go ahead.
So I went to school in Liverpool for 1 year when I was little, and the reason my mum and dad moved me to Runcorn was because I was getting bullied.
Oh.
And I'd had these people who I thought were like my friends, and literally I was like 5 years old, and they like wouldn't like play with me at lunchtime because I was brown, and like it was just crazy. And to be honest, I feel like I blocked that part out for a long time because obviously my mum and dad knew more of how much damage it was going to be than I did. But then I didn't really get that behaviour when I moved over there. It was, I had really, really good friends, like I loved it, but then it was more for me when I got to high school that I realised.
That's the triggering word right there for me, school,
the teachers, when I look back now, I didn't realise the teachers in primary school were actually really not nice. Yeah. And I can't put my finger on whether that's the reason why. But it's only upon going to therapy that I have realised a lot of things.
Yeah, me and you both. I still go to therapy.
Yeah.
Best thing, I would suggest everyone to do it.
Yeah, you need to. I put on a TikTok yesterday that I actually spoke for 8 minutes and posted it on TikTok. I don't even know who's watched that because I would not have the attention span if I was on the other side.
Sometimes you just need to like rant to something and just get it off your chest, because journaling's not going to do it.
No.
You need to like vocally get it out, because it just feels like this stagnant energy inside and your chest feels tight and you have this opinion you need to release because it's your trauma.
I know.
Yeah, I get it.
You know what, that's so weird, because on my last episode I was actually talking about, someone wrote a question, said, do you journal? And I was like, I don't journal. I sit in the car and I talk to myself. Yeah. Because that's my way of getting it out. Yeah. But I had my last therapy session yesterday, and I say last for a while, because I don't think there's any shame in ever going back if I need to. Yeah. But that was like a really big step for me, and that's what my TikTok was about, because I was saying like I recorded it after I'd had that session, and I remember I've been putting it off for ages, thinking maybe I don't really need it anymore, and it was like that last little safety net that I had, and I was driving home and I was thinking, I don't need this anymore. Yeah. And I just made that decision there and then, which is not good, not usually me.
Yeah, what a beautiful realisation though.
I know. So I said to her, I was like, I don't need to do this anymore, but I just need to know like I can come back if I need to. Yeah. And she was like, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. She was like, you're an amazing person, and she was like, and you've got so many things to give, and like I really believe that you're going to do that. And I was like,
yeah, and you need to believe that as well. Like, you need to believe that in yourself.
I do.
Rather
We've
than
only been
hearing
talking
it.
for 15 minutes and she can already tell that I'm an anxious mess who doesn't believe in myself.
No,
But-
me and you both. Like, I used to be against like medication. I used to be, you know, like that hardcore, like, no, you need to do it the natural way. You need to figure, like, I was that for a minute, and I'm ashamed that I was like that. Because now there is no harm in asking for help, whether that be medication, therapy, or prayer, like, or just talk and whatever it may be.
A combination even.
Yeah, like, because honestly, between going to therapy, going to Shred Fast, free promo, so free promo there, going to Shred Fast and genuinely just starting to break down those walls of like all the things that I thought I had to be.
Yeah.
You realise, like, when someone gives you a compliment like your therapist did, you
like,
tend to go, okay, thank you, and it makes you upset because you're like, oh, that's so lovely, but that's because you battle it off. You don't receive the compliment.
No, 100%.
Do you know what I mean? You kind of deflect from it.
Yeah.
Instead of receiving it wholeheartedly, because that's what you actually believe in yourself.
Yeah, 100%. That makes so much sense when you say it like that. Do you feel like, I mean, I suppose before I go off on a massive tangent, like,
Go ahead.
do you know the whole, like, how you always felt like you should be dealing with stuff? Do you reckon that was, like, a society thing? Was that how, like, maybe parents told you, like, you need to be strong?
Oh,
That's a deep one.
Oh, wow. This is a therapy session. A combination. I felt like I needed to be strong. I felt like I needed to be strong for multiple reasons. For my younger brother, who I could see was holding a lot, and he needed to deal with a lot, and he wasn't ready to. Now, thankfully, he is. My mum, because she was going through a divorce. Myself, being mixed race in a white area, having to like fight to be acknowledged as mixed race rather than like
just being like everyone
different
else.
with big afro hair. Like, I don't know, people just didn't want to acknowledge the fact that I was mixed race, and it was so bizarre. And then now, like, I'll have those people message me like, oh, you're doing so well, and I'm, what?
Yeah,
What?
it's mental, isn't it?
So all of the reasons above, plus the fact that you try and associate yourself with people who look like you. And my mum always tried to put strong females in front of me, whether that be through music or through films, or like my aunties are very strong, both on my dad's and mum's side. And I guess I just always knew that I had to be strong because I wasn't going to go through what my mum went through, and I wasn't going to go through what they went through, and I could get through this bullying, like I was going to come out stronger, and like so much like self-pressure. So yeah, I hope I've answered your question. Like, so many reasons.
You have, and do you know it's funny that you say that, because if I'm actually to say, if ever I remembered thinking back to school and how I remembered you, I actually always remembered you almost being a bit of like a big sister. You know, like when you talk to me.
That makes me want to cry.
No, but like, okay, you can't cry because I'll cry.
I'm such an ugly crier.
It's too early in for that.
Oh, no.
But I can go and get some tissues if you want.
It's fine, I'm not going to cry. Crying ages, you guys. Okay, don't
There's nothing wrong with crying though.
Oh, wow.
There's nothing. But like, I know that sounds weird for me to come out with now, because it's not like we were ever like, you know, always in the same place at the same time, or that like our families know each other or anything. I can just remember whenever I would speak to you, I would always get that sort of energy from you. No, like really, like. So, but that's like, I remember when I, like, for whatever reason, when we would message on Instagram, that's still the sort of like thing that I remembered, and I can really get that energy from you, from what you said about wanting to be strong and protect other people. Because I think, because I did have, like, I had an older sister. Do you have any older siblings?
Yeah, I have a few.
Yeah.
My dad was busy.
Yeah.
Yeah, my dad, heart of gold, but let's just say he was a very handsome man when he was younger.
Yeah.
And before he met my mum, enjoyed the company of lovely women to be taken out on dates and him to take them out on dates and whatever, and I'm trying to make it the most PG sentence in the world.
We
like
can,
yeah, like my dad, my
mean.
dad was like the Will Smith of his era, and
Well, I was gonna say
in a white era, like in a white area, you can imagine like women just loved him because he danced, he could sing. Plus he was like this like jack of all trades in terms of like decorating and architecture and all this stuff, and then he met my mom and settled down and had me and Reese. So my mum ended up being a stepmom at 21 to a 9-year-old and an 8-year-old.
Yeah, see my mum was like a stepmom to my older brother and sister when they were like, I think my older brother might have even been older than, I can't even remember now I'm saying it. I reckon he was, but it was 2 of them, and she was like in her late 20s at that time, and it is strange, isn't it? But did you grow up like particularly close with your siblings and stuff?
It was always, it's funny you say that, you know, because over the years, no, not really. Like when I was younger, yes, because, you know, my mum was their mother figure. Like they have a different mums to me, plural. And my mum was always the one that was kind of like the solid unit. So much so they would call her mum sometimes, or like one of them would, or the rest of them would just have a lot of respect for her. So they were always at my house, but I always felt like an only child.
Really?
I never really connected.
Okay.
I never really got that like older brother sister vibe. Like, my older sister's 10 years older than me, and my older brother's 9 years older than me, and then I have a sister that is very close in age to me.
Okay.
So before, like, it was just me and my mum. Like it was just us two. Like we used to play dress up and sing songs in the house, and like it was just mine and her world, and she made it so magical. And she kept me away from a lot of stuff that could have like really tarnished my childhood, and she really protected me. And she did that for my step brothers and sisters as well, but I've always been brought up to just call them brother and sister. I've never seen them as like half or step, or like they're completely just my brothers and sisters. Like that's just what they are. Whether we get on, whether we don't talk, whether we do, they're just my brothers and sisters, and I'll always love them and wish them well. But I've never really been like that, let's all have dinner together and it's just never really been a thing for me. It's never really been. And then when my mum and dad got divorced, there was no real reason to be around everyone as much. So I kind of just grew up doing what I was doing with, you know, performance school and acting school, and well, before that trying to get through high school, that was traumatic. And then creative school, and then getting into modelling. So I was just in my own journey. My brother was in the army. My sister was going on her journey. She was 10 years older than me. She was an adult and I was a teenager. And Reese was like a toddler. So it was literally like kind of like that middle child syndrome.
Yeah, I suppose I was just intrigued because from what you're saying, it sounds somewhat similar to like how I grew up, but then also not. Like I think because my older brother and sister have both got the same dad, like we've all got the same dad, and then like they've got a different mum, and me and Jared have got a different mum. And I think there was always that thing where my dad really like, it was important for him to kind of have them around, so naturally we grew up just all being really close, and the same as what you said in terms of like they're just my brother and sister. I wouldn't think anything else. But what I did find was I was like, my sister's like 9 years older than me, and my brother's like even more than that, but I still did feel like they were my older siblings. And in a way it's weird because I never lived with them full time how I did with Jared, but then there's that weird crossover between I feel like the middle child, but then I also feel like the eldest child.
yes, I resonate with that so much. Sorry, I'm like so ADHD. The way I go around the house is explaining.
Oh, and me, I have to keep.
So
I have a podcast, and I have to keep bringing the subject back.
Yeah,
it's hard.
You do so well at it, because for me, you could literally say what colour is that, and I'll tell you about the grass outside, and then come back to the actual question.
I can relate. Don't worry.
So thanks for keeping me on track.
It's okay.
Yeah, no, I resonate with that, because with my younger brother, I've always felt like his protector. I don't want to get upset. I've always felt like, oh, what's wrong with me? I've always felt like his protector, and there's been times that I haven't been able to be that because I needed it. I needed someone to protect me, but I was the older sibling.
Yeah.
So I could never have asked that of him. I'm not gonna cry.
Oh, it's okay.
So I would never have asked that of him. And my older brother was, you know, living his life, and he was in the army, and he did so well. He was like the youngest to get like Lance Corporal or something like that, and then he went into like even further into like that whole world. I don't even want to get it wrong, so I'm not even going to guess what he did, but he just did something really good within the army. And then when he come out, he was like this role model for having his own business, and then he had kids, and so he was in his own world. My little brother is, you know, just growing up and is just being him, so it just felt like I needed to have. Can I swear?
Yeah.
God,
if you couldn't swear, then I've been doing it wrong.
I just felt like I needed to have my shit together.
Yeah.
And there was a big chunk. I mean, I'm about to turn 30, but I'd say there's been a big chunk of my life that I have not had my shit together, and I really needed someone. And I really needed looking after at one point, and I just had to get through it myself. So that whole concept of like feeling like the older sibling but feeling like the middle child as well is a constant thing. Like, I had a conversation with my mum about it a few days ago, and she was like, oh, that really makes sense. And I'm glad that we've got to a place where we can talk about it now, because 16-year-old Iesha would not have spoken to her mum about it. I think I would have just like grunted at her and like looked the other way. So we always laugh like, oh, 16-year-old Iesha, oh, she was not nice. She was a handful.
You get to that point though, don't you, when I think, and that's another thing that like therapy helps with, is like you go through weird stages, almost, I don't want to say grief, but like when you're younger, you'll be like really angry about things, and you'll probably blame your parents, but then when you grow and you get older, you realise that they were just doing the best with like what they could, and then it's like
it's their first time at life as well.
I
think that sentence really screams out loud to me, like it's our parents' first time at this world, in this world, at this life, being a parent. Like, there's no real book, we're all just winging it. But we have these expectations of our parents to get it right. And it's took me so long to be comfortable with having a relationship with my dad, and it took me a minute to be as close as I am with my mum, and because I was like, why didn't you do this when we were younger? And really, it's, if you just take all of those expectations away, they tried their best. Like, they genuinely did. And sometimes people aren't healed, and then they have children. You know? And definitely. And you just do your best. So for that child to grow up and then say, why didn't you, and point the finger, it's like, well, I tried my best. Like, what do you want me to do? So going to therapy to realise that helped me so much. I stopped being a bitch.
I haven't.
I stopped with the expectations. I just accepted, like, I just accepted
trying to break the generational trauma and be
definitely.
the one who makes an example. And I feel like my goal is, like, when I think about who I want to be as a person, like, I really do want to be at a point whereby I can heal from things, so when it gets to the point of me having children, hopefully I know I'm not going to be perfect, but I hopefully won't have as much going on up here that I'll pass on to them. And that's not something that I blame my parents for. I feel like as a generation we're a lot more switched on to all of that. But
I think we're a lot more triggered as well. by things. I think social media is huge. I think like even like TV, like whatever it may be, like music. I know I sound like such an old woman saying all that.
No,
my nan used to say all of this. The music's different nowadays.
Oh.
But bless us all. But I do think it really contributes to how our minds get triggered, and I think us as a generation now are so triggered by things. Like, how many times do you hear someone bring up anxiety in a conversation?
I know.
Or if we went into a room full of people, like 20 people, I mean, guaranteed 15 of them are going through something. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's crazy because years ago it'd just be like, get on with it. Have good posture, put your lipstick on and crack on.
Yeah.
Like, just get on with it.
I think that's the real change, isn't it? Between like, and that's why I still, you know, I have my beliefs about how I want to work on myself, but I still know my place, and I wouldn't tell my mum and dad what they should be doing, because people have their own ways, and you get to a certain point and you think there's no point in me trying to convince you of that. Yeah. But if we go like back to like school and stuff.
Yeah, would you say... got away from that one.
So we don't. I won't take you into the whole thing because I'm sure it's up to you how much you want to talk.
You can ask me as much as you want. Ask me as much as you want. I'm ready for it.
I'll go get me tissues. I think the first thing that comes to mind, really, which I feel like for me anyway is linked, is like, did you feel confident when you were younger?
No.
Because you come across as like a very confident person to me now. Yeah. And I know we were even saying this before.
And I'm not.
Not all is what it seems.
Yeah.
On like Instagram and everything. But when you were in school, I know you mentioned that you went through like a lot of struggles.
Oh, I was a diva in school.
Yeah.
I wore that mask proudly. Like, and I say that mask because it was a mask. It was a mask that I put on in the morning and I wore all day, and I took it off the minute I got home. Yeah. It wasn't real. It just got me through.
Did you think that would you say your mum was quite a strong person, as in like, was she a bit of, I don't want to say diva and talk about your mum like that, but was she?
No.
Do you know what I mean?
Just disrespecting your mum. No, my mum's never been a diva, but my mum's strong in her own way, and she's strong in what she installed in me. Yeah. And the values that she gave me, and the life lessons that I now resonate at an older age. Yeah. When I was younger, I wish I would have listened to her more. But at the same time, I wish that she understood that racism wasn't gone. Yeah. So that's like a big thing. She didn't think that it was just like a thing of the past, because she realised when we were a bit older, when, you know, Reese went to school, like, oh shit, okay.
It is a thing.
Still a thing, yeah.
See, I kind of had, because my dad's white, so like my dad didn't really get too involved in it. If you like, he did, as in he always stood up for us, but he never, if I was with him, nobody said anything to me.
Of course.
But if I was with my mum, they would, like, I've had very, like, vivid memories of, like, walking to the shop and people shouting shit at my mum. Yeah. But, like, I asked...
Thankfully that never happened to my mum, but they'd say things... mostly because the women that have walked past us were trying to like wait for an inkling to try and speak to my dad. Yeah. But it was really weird. But we had it where it was always sly and backhanded. Yeah. It would almost be like, so my mum was, sorry, I realise I've just cut you off. That's such a spectrum thing to do. It's fine. My mum was like, she held her own. And she dressed well, she knew what she wanted, and she was gonna go and get it, and my dad just kind of happened to like just be like ta-da in her life and be this magician that's like, well, you can just breathe and everything's gonna be fine no matter what. And she was such an anxious person because she was so driven that she was drawn to that. And my dad was a jack the lad. You know, and like, he really was, and you could put him in any room and he'd make everyone fall in love with him, no matter what class, how much money they had in their pocket, like how cultured or worldly they were, they always loved my dad. But when he messed up royally. And unfortunately he fell into that stereotypical dad, he did. And so it almost felt like the stereotypical mixed race family, like mum was holding it together, dad's a jack the lads, but everyone loves him. And you know, we just kind of, it was normal to us. But now looking back as an adult, it's like all those microaggressions were there. For my mum to think that racism was over because she defeated all odds and, you know, dated a black man and didn't care what anyone thought, and she thought she won, to then bring mixed race kids into the world who then went to school, you know, in the 2000s to then still be getting asked about whatever is under the skirt, or can I touch your hair, or is that, like, all these things was wild to her.
Did you find that it was like, when you were in school, was it people that you went to school with?
Yeah.
Was it teachers, or was it both?
Yeah, both. I think because for me it was, I stuck out, like my body developed a lot quicker, so it was already womanly before it should have been. Put that on top of, I'm not the same colour as you. I change colour throughout the year because, let's face it, we go paler in the winter and then we're darker in the summer. 1 minute my hair is sleek and straight, and the next minute it's huge and it's afro and it's loud, and so I just had to be proud of it. I had to, and it was so hard for me to do so when I had, like, the school put in rules of you couldn't wear your hair down if it was distracting, you couldn't wear headbands or have braids. So it was like, crazy. What am I meant to do with my hair then? And the amount of times I got put into detention because I refused to tie my hair up.
That is mental. Like if they try to do it like that nowadays,
that makes us sound
like the
school would be shut down.
That does make us sound old. I can actually remember all that going on.
Yeah, I remember, like, the year above me, and the year, like, there's a girl, I won't mention names of people, but there was a girl who I wasn't even that close to, and I think she was seen as, like, the popular girl. It'll probably resonate with you soon. And she owns a salon close by, an academy. Anyway, she's doing really well. Like praise, like, props to her. And she would have been the last person I would have expected to stand in my corner, because she was around all of those, like, Miss Popular girls who were not so nice. And she genuinely fought my corner. She went into the bathroom in the girls' toilet, she backcombed her hair and sprayed it with hairspray and made it as big and as loud, and so her friends followed.
I don't know who you're talking about, but I can vaguely sort of like.
Do you remember the toilets? Like,
I remember.
Downstairs?
Yeah.
I just remember walking in, crying, not because I didn't know this was going on. And I remember I'd been pulled out of class. It was the 4th time. What hit it off was it was actually because of me. There was a lad in school that kept saying, like, the N words and calling me the P word, because let's face it, when they don't know what you are, they call you everything. Yeah, it's like, we don't know what you are, so we'll insult you with everything. And they throw things into my hair, and as much as that sounds hilarious, and if they do watch this, they'll probably know who they are. And I forgive them for it today, but it was mean. It was so cruel.
So nasty.
Sitting in a classroom and you're the only one that's mixed race with curly hair, and your mum's teaching you to be proud. So it's not like you're trying not to fit in. You're just trying to be as an individual as everyone else is.
Yeah.
And I remember I told the teacher what he was doing. It was like in geography, and the teacher sent me out for disrupting the class. And didn't do anything with him.
Do you think that was anything to do with the fact that you were, like, very strong within yourself, though?
Probably.
Because the fact that you actually had, like, you stood up for yourself in a way. I feel like that sounds like, oh, I don't like that.
Probably,
you know what I mean?
Because I think he's seen little things happening. Like, there was a line of the lads at the back, like, sitting behind on the desks, and because it was like not you, the way they did the tables and chairs, it was just odd. And yeah, it was like I had to, even when I got up to walk to him, I had to walk past some of that group of lads and then down and then to the teacher. And it was like, I remember shaking because I thought, I cannot like let this continue. I can't. And I had like so much paper in my head. Like when I shook it, it just like fell. Like,
that's horrendous.
And it was just like, oh, I can't. And the teacher sent me out, and when he come outside the classroom, he said, and I still remember to this day, if I didn't make myself such an eyesore, people wouldn't notice.
What the fuck?
And I was like, huh?
Oh my
And he
God.
said, maybe if you just tamed it down a little bit. And I was like, I didn't wear makeup. I wasn't like one of those showy girls that wore short skirts, or like my mum made sure I had like a pinafore on. I used to wear kickers, tights, like I was covered.
Yeah.
There was days obviously where I wore skirts and long socks, but it was always to my knee, and I was just like, what? So I went to the toilet, and somehow I didn't know that word had got out over the past couple of days before that of what was going on. And so when I went into the toilet, I was greeted by the year 10s and year 11s who had all backcombed their hair because of this one individual showing resilience and showing that she was like, no, this is wrong. Because she'd heard of one of the teachers had let it slip that this was a new rule. And they were like, well, where's that come from? And the teacher, who was quite friendly with the popular girls, she let it slip, and they obviously on break time was like, no. So when I walked in, I was greeted by these 2 year groups who were like, this is not happening and we're going to make sure. And I was so overwhelmed because I thought, no one even looks at me, like no one. I didn't even think people liked me. I used to just try and get by. I used to like go from one friend group to the other on certain days because I didn't know where to fit in on certain days. And sorry, tangent again.
No.
And I remember I walked out and I got detention for it because it was said that I was the one that made them do that. I was the one that said we should do this to kind of rebel against the teachers, and all I did was go to the toilet because I was actually crying. They'd already done all of that themselves. They'd made that decision.
Did they not say that though?
I don't know what they said. I just remember I got pulled out and put in exclusion, and I was almost like leading this rebellion.
I know, yeah. I mean,
it was a joke.
It's a compliment that they thought you had that much power.
Like, no, a bit like, and little did they know I was getting bullied. You know, I had no self-confidence. I genuinely like didn't really know who I was, and I was just trying to get by. I'd asked my mum to leave that school from year 8, and she was asking me to just ride it out.
Yeah.
So, by the end of year 9 now, that's like 2 school years, I was begging my mum to leave. And they brought in these rules. You can't wear these clips, you can't wear headbands, you can't. So everyone else could put their hair in a pony, because of course it goes. I mean, my hair now would do the same as yours.
Yeah.
But my hair then, if I put my hair in a pony, it looks like a pineapple. It's even more distracting. So you want me to put a bobble in my hair that's going to make it look like a microphone, and you're giving these lads more ammunition.
Yeah, 100%.
So absolutely go at me. Funny enough, the lads now were like stalking my Instagram.
Yeah, always the way. Always
I'm like, but it's just funny how I was always seen as like the perpetrator.
Yeah.
And it was just like, and because of teachers like that, there was no education. They like, I mean, let's face it, in history, whenever they spoke about the slave trade, or they spoke about India, or it was like, Iesha, what's your opinion?
Oh my God.
It's like, I know all about this, do I?
I used to get anxiety in those types of lessons, because I'd be like, oh my God, I can't even deal with somebody speaking to me about it. And it shouldn't be like that. I mean, like I did, as I was saying before, I got a lot better, like, upbringing when I was in that place rather than when I was really young.
Yeah.
But I kind of had a thing where, like, I wouldn't say I had like racist bits here and there, but I was friends with my friends. Nobody would like say anything like that, but it was like, I always felt like it was the lads who would pick on me. And I can't sit here and say that was the reason why, because they never said anything particularly like racial or whatever. But it is funny thinking back that like I was the one out of all my friends. Like, yeah, I was chubby, yeah, I was like, you know, not really come into myself
No, I
yet.
remember you were cute. You were cute. You were cute. Like, I was fugly.
No,
I
you
was
weren't.
like ugly Betty, but you were cute. Like,
No, I wasn't. And a lot of people would have not said that I look cute.
No, you
I
was.
used to get called fat. I used to get just picked on. I used to hate school so much. I can't really say much for like my school year because I can't say it was ever the girls for me. It wasn't the girls for me. It was the lads. But you know, coming back from that, you just think you were young, you were stupid.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter to me anymore. I quite like how I keep myself to myself, and I also like how I, having been that person, have developed into who I am now. Because if I'd always been confident and I'd always felt, you know, like I had attention on me, I would have never been the person I am now. And have that knowledge of like, it doesn't matter what I look like, it doesn't matter, you know, who's giving me attention, that I am a nice person and that I'll get by with that alone, no matter what happens, you know. And I feel like a lot of people can't say the same if they didn't always experience, you know, people not liking them or people being mean to them. And that's only benefited me getting older. But I would still say, and I don't know whether it would go back to like a school thing or being bullied, but I just still struggle with confidence. It's definitely got better, 100%, and I really do feel like, I've been saying it recently, I finally feel like me for the first time, knowing who I am, knowing everything like that I can about myself, and feeling confident in who I am. But I would say that that's probably like, when I didn't feel like that, is because, you know, like growing up, I was very just unsure, like you know, in my dad's family, I love them all to pieces. Like, they would never make me feel any kind of way, they would never make me feel different, but it was me thinking it. And you know, you're too brown for that family, but then you go to your mum's family and you're almost too white. And I had a real struggle like fitting in, and I think my confidence levels wouldn't just come from like school and stuff, but definitely like now I feel like it's only because I've had all of that and I've really started to understand myself that I feel more confident than ever. I'd definitely say I'm not 100% there, but I'm starting to do things that I've always wanted to do. I'm starting to put myself out there in ways that I never have.
That's amazing though.
Yeah,
like,
I am
honest,
actually. That's one thing I can say. Is I'm really proud of myself in that way. But I know like it's really crazy to me, even though I've said all that, hearing how you've had experiences and then like and seeing where you are now, because I literally said to you when you came in, I've not seen you for years, but you to me, I just think you look like you're doing amazing. You look really confident, like you honestly look really confident, and I wouldn't have thought twice. And I don't know whether that's, obviously, you don't always believe what you see on social media, but the industry that you're in now, to me, says you have to be confident to be in that. Because I've tried modelling and I've kind of decided it's not really my bag.
We had this conversation. I think there's another route that you can. I think it is your bag, and I think that you'll be amazing at it when the time's right for you. No one else can tell you when you should do it. And I think there's another route that you could take that you might enjoy more of, which obviously we discussed earlier. Not giving you secrets away. And I think the modelling industry is not for the faint-hearted.
No,
it's really not. Like, the creative industry is not for the faint-hearted.
No.
Like, I thought school was bad. Dance school was horrendous. Dance school and acting school was horrendous. Like, oh my word. And to be diagnosed later on in life with ADHD and with autism as a female, it makes so much sense why I thought school, dance school, acting school, like all of the educational years of my life were horrendous because I was having to wear masks all of the time. But yeah, no, the modelling industry is, do you know what, it's changed so much. It's like,
really?
yeah, it's it's forever evolving. You know, you are either asked to do everything in terms of you are an influencer, you are a model, you also do commercials, maybe you'll have a dabble of acting, or, you know, 9 times out of 10 go on Love Island. And then you have the sides of it as like, no, you are strictly modelling and you'll do the odd commercial here and there, but it's predominantly modelling, like high fashion. And then you get fast fashion, which is basically UGC content creation. You're an influencer, but you get to call yourself a model because you're posing and there's pictures and there's content there and it's a job now. That wasn't that way like 10 years ago.
How did you get into modelling? Like, where
through the trenches. So when I was 16, oh my word, I'll actually take a picture of it. I still have the portfolio at home. Bless my cotton socks. I don't know who I thought I was. I knew I had a vision of what I wanted to be. I wasn't there at 16. I really wasn't.
I don't think a lot of people are.
I wasn't. I remember seeing. So my mum's a hairdresser by trade. When I was younger, she was, you know, that was her business. Now, not so much. Now she loves, you know, managing the homeware area in Asda, and she has her own shop at the back that everyone comes to her, and she discounts everything for everyone and helps single mums, and she helps people coming in for uniforms, and she loves life. But when I was younger, she was a hairdresser, and she gave me this catalogue, and she should never have done it. And there was a girl in there because she was trying to show me body positive images.
Okay.
And there was a girl in there that was quite athletic. She was on the Adidas advert and she had purple hair.
Okay.
Not bright purple, but like a dark purple hair, curly. And I was like, oh, so if I dye my hair that colour, I'm going to become her.
Oh.
Yeah, don't ask me.
I didn't know that you ever had purple hair.
Unfortunately. You remember that era of like everyone went red for Rihanna?
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, let's not. Why? I can send you some pictures. Wow.
My sister did the red Rihanna.
Wow.
And she definitely does not still have those pictures.
No, I mean, I humble myself by looking at them sometimes. I mean, I humble myself by looking at myself in my work clothes today, but...
Which is definitely not humbling.
No, let me tell you. The pictures I have of me at 15 and 16, oh my word. Like, overplucked eyebrows, almost night ticks upside down at this point. I'd never known what dermaplaning was, so I had sideburns down to my neck. And I'm being truthful, this is
I did
not...
last week. It's
fine. Like, dark haired, of course, so I had a moustache. I'll be honest, my eyebrows joined. They did. And I overplucked them so that they never, and that's why it went horrendously wrong. And then I dyed my hair purple. And I thought that I was the shit.
Trying to think of what you were going to
I thought, do you know what, maybe I don't fit in because I'm meant to be this. Oh, was I quickly humbled, thankfully. So I did my first photo shoot, and there's so many scammers out there and so many people that'll think, my children are beautiful, I want to get them into the modelling industry, and how do I go about it? Oh, I know, portfolio. And the amount of money my mum spent on my portfolio, like first time round, only to learn that it was a scam, and
oh my god,
that's why we've got that portfolio, and we laugh at it, we use it as like a humbling moment of like, do you remember?
Yeah.
So when I'm doing campaigns and stuff now, sometimes I'm like, oh, the 16-year-old Iesha, when I'm on set, like she would not have thought. But yeah, like it was the trenches, I can't even deny. I was not ready. I certainly didn't look like a model. I was just your typical mixed race, curly haired, like girl that has a woman's body, but she was young, so she thought she was a woman because she had a woman's body, when I was the most stupid person in the world.
You're not being very nice about yourself.
I had no common sense, like, at all, honestly. Like, my mum's sisters laugh about it all the time, and I genuinely thought, like,
you're the shit.
Like, yeah, like, and bless me, I really wasn't. So yeah, I had that portfolio done by a company called Euro Kids, which is, I mean, don't sue me, but yeah, by them. And horrendous, absolute facade, all these. I think at one point my mum and little brother came in on the photo shoot, and they weren't even dressed for it. She just wanted nice family pictures, and I was like, I'm not understanding how this is. And then that's what I wanted for my 16th. I was like, I want to do my career. I think I was watching like My Sweet 16th or something at the time, and girls were doing this. And then over the years of shooting with not so great photographers, letting my eyebrows grow back in, learning what a moustache wax is, and
we all have to get there.
realising that there's a lot of seedy photographers out there, like, that girls should not be shooting with.
Wow.
And like, it is so important that girls have a chaperone. Like, I could tell you stories.
Really?
Like, so dangerous. Really, it's not a safe industry for a young girl to go into unless they are chaperoned or have a really good agent. And I had neither.
Can you give some examples of what you mean by that?
Locked in the room with a photographer when I thought he'd left when I was getting changed, not knowing that he hadn't left, and luckily enough I hadn't stripped off. It's like you hear something and you're like, oh, and you realise that they're there looking through the cracks of, you know, the partition, where you can get changed behind. Like, they're there. I've been on castings that basically were like the beginning of a casting couch, and thankfully I got out of there before it turned into anything.
Oh my gosh.
And then didn't get cast for it because it was like, oh well, you know, and I didn't have an agent. I didn't know how to get one. No one schooled you on how to do it.
No.
I was looking for a mentor when I was younger, and I just became friends with like idiotic people that definitely weren't mentors. And so awful photographers. A lot of photographers when you're a teenager are like, do bikini photo shoots, you know, that's what, do swimwear, that's what'll get you the job, like, show more, da da da. And I'm a Muslim girl, you know, and I wasn't as strict or into my religion as what I am now. When I was that age, I didn't really know who I was. But yeah, like, looking back, I just wish that someone would have said no. I wish someone would have said no. I wish someone would have given me more discipline and more structure. I wish that there was times where, had someone have navigated meetings for me in terms of contacting agencies or saying, not right now, Iesha, wait until, you know, dance school's finished. Or even teachers in my dance school, like, they would have individuals in that dance school which they would help a lot more, and they would give advice to, and because they fit the category of what they wanted them to fit. You know, they were stick thin, they were you know, long haired, and let's face it, they were white. It is what it is. Like, that's exactly what it felt like. I don't know whether that's what it's like now, and I'm not saying that's what all dance schools are like, but my dance school, like, I felt horrendous, and all I wanted was someone to guide me, because I didn't know whether I wanted to be a dancer, I didn't know whether I wanted to go into acting, I didn't know whether I wanted to model full time. I just knew I wanted to do something creative, and I loved all aspects. Because I had no guidance, it was more of like that stubborn teenage, I'll prove you wrong. I'm gonna do this by myself. And so that led me into many scenarios that were very dangerous.
Wow. That
I'm so glad I got out of. And yeah, we'll at some point talk about that on my podcast.
Yeah, everyone needs to keep an eye out, by the way, because we've been talking about you wanting to bring one out. A few months ago it was that you asked me, but how long have you been thinking about that?
So long. I think from when I started therapy at the end of last year, gosh, I'm making myself sound like I've had this most like traumatic life. When I was 9.
This is like a therapy session anyway.
Literally, when I was 9, when I was 12. Yeah, I've wanted to do it for a while. I think the first introduction I had to it was my therapist was actually going through like a higher qualification of some kind, and she asked me whether she could record our sessions. And at first I was like, no one needs to have this evidence ever. Like, no. And then more into trusting her, I was like, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
And so when she started recording it, I never watched it back. But just the concept of like
you knew you'd be
obviously there was no ring lights, right? But it was set up. There was microphones there so that you could hear, and it essentially was a podcast.
Yeah.
And I was like, And the feedback that she gave me on a lot of subjects that we touched upon, she was like, if you did go into doing something like that, do you know how many like young girls you would probably relate to? Or do you know? And I was like, no, me. Little Iesha, one eyebrow and a moustache, don't think so. Like, I used to get called Batman until I was 18.
No, you didn't.
No, I really did, honestly. My cousins were awful. And now they're like, oh, you're lovely. I wasn't lovely at 18. But yeah, so that's when I was like, okay, I think I'm going to do this. So I made a few little videos and then deleted them. And then I made a few more and then deleted them. Because it all kind of, as you've noticed, I go around the houses. And I got bored of listening to myself because I thought I'm just whining on. No one wants to hear that. I'm very self-critical. So as much as I explain something, I'll then rip myself apart. It's just like a defence mechanism. Like, I'll do it before you do.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
I literally like wanted to start doing my podcast years before. Did exactly the same. Like, went through it, was like, why does anyone want to listen to this? Delete.
Like, even when you said, like, I'm going to rebrand and change the name, the thought, I was like, well, what am I going to call mine? If she thinks she needs to rebrand and I love that name, what am I going to call mine? Oh, I need to find. It's like that anxiety of like, it needs to be perfect before it is.
Yeah, 100%.
And that's why I haven't put it out there yet. But there's full-on episodes ready to go.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
That's really exciting though, because I feel like you know you can do it. It's just about making the decision to put it out there.
Yeah.
And that's when I never used to listen to my episodes back because I got to a point where I thought, if I keep doing this, I'm never going to put it out.
Yeah.
And I've only just started getting to the point where I properly edit them and stuff, which is what I needed to do the whole time. They were probably shit, like hats off to anyone who actually listens to the beginning.
Editing is not for the faint-hearted. Oh, no. Word.
But I honestly only just started doing that just because I was exactly the same.
Yeah.
And I was so critical. And isn't it funny, like, I felt more confident to do this before I felt confident to do modelling. And now I've tried a bit of modelling, I'm like, no. Yeah. But what is it that, like, you do, like, as a whole now? So you do modelling full time.
I'm an enigma. So I'm signed to a modelling agency. I finally found the right modelling agency.
Yeah.
I've been with her now for, I want to say 4.5 years, maybe 5 years.
Okay.
Yeah, gradually got there. I've been booking a lot more jobs since I've lost weight. Which is, I know that
you've been booking more, or you've like.
I've been booked on a lot more jobs.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
For whatever reason, it's just so happened at the time of when I've lost weight. Like, I've lost 2.5 stone.
Wow.
Yeah, like some of it not in a healthy way, which I don't condone, and some of it in a healthy way. Like,
over how much time?
Like, Spreadfast saved my life. Like, last year was the most horrendous year of my life. Like, I am so glad to see the end of my 20s.
Wow.
But last year, to put it into context, and then I will answer your question.
Needs to give the background.
I know, I'm so sorry. It's such a spectrum answer.
I'm the same.
And I don't mean to keep interrupting you either, but it's like I'll have a thing where I'm like, oh, I relate to that, and I have to say it when I'm learning to not interrupt, and I used to be so much worse, believe it or not, because I'm bad now, but yeah, so I'm learning. To answer your question before I go onto a tangent, I'm a full-time model. I also work in a clinic. So I do laser hair removal, skin treatments, body treatments, whether that be fat reduction or, toning or whatever, non-invasive and invasive. Nothing surgical there. We've got doctors in there that do that. Everything's medical grade. But I manage that clinic. So I was an esthetician, and then now I manage the clinic.
Okay.
And I'm signed to an acting agent, which you will see a lot more of at the end of the year.
Oh my god, that's exciting.
And at some point bringing out a podcast. I've always been someone who needs to have multiple streams of income because I know what I don't want.
Yeah.
I know what I want and I know what I want to achieve, but I've experienced what I don't want.
Yeah.
And I will never ever have anything less than 3 means of an income.
Yeah.
No way. 3 streams of income, like, minimum. There's no chance that I would ever put myself in a position to have to ask either my partner or a friend or a family for help. And I don't knock anyone that does it, but that's just on me.
Yeah.
Like, I've held myself accountable in that way, where I want to be the one who breaks the generational curse, and I want to put certain family members and certain friends of mine, and I'm obviously myself, in a position where it's life changing.
Yeah.
And I'm really set out to do that. But yeah, I think in regards to last year, what made me that way, because I wasn't so harsh on myself, it was always like, I'll work full time and I'll model. It was never so harsh of like, and I'll act, and I'll do this on the side of a podcast, and I'll also, you know, whatever. So last year, horrendous, like, went through an attack. I was attacked with my then partner and put in hospital, and never really got a chance to recover or heal or plus working, never took time off work. I had a really toxic job at the time, in a clinic, not the one I'm in at the moment, but really toxic job at the time. And yeah, just didn't take any time to heal. And then on top of that, my younger brother needed me because he was going through his life situation.
Yeah.
And then my older brother needed me because he was going through a different life situation. So I started bringing him to Shred Fast with me, and that's how we were like healing together. We never really spoke about anything. We would just 5 a.m. we would be there, catch you on the mat, like, and that is literally what they say with Shred Fast, like, just catch you on the mat, just, you don't need to talk about it if you don't want to, just train. And that was literally my year. There was no time to and then at the end of towards the end of the year, I was cheated on
by the same person.
Yeah,
oh my god,
it was just like, wow. To then have a full circle moment of like have an apology from him and realise that, like, wow, that really was a crazy year to go through. He had his own stuff going on, I had mine. You know, my mum was grieving, my grandmother. My mum was amazing and she's so strong, but my mum was grieving, so I felt like she needed me. My partner obviously needed me, but then I couldn't always get to him because there was people putting obstacles in the way. I hadn't healed myself yet, but my little brother needed me, then my older brother needed me. It was just like I needed a minute.
Sounds like you just didn't think about you once. It just, all I've heard is you say, someone else needed me rather than
and I think last year was yourself. My year of where I really wanted to lock in, but you know, that's this year and things happen for a reason, and I certainly don't blame anyone. I don't blame anyone in regards to, you know, my partner then and his situation, and I don't blame anyone in terms of like my brothers for needing me, or that's what family's for, you know, and people heal in different ways. I'm not saying cheating on someone's okay, but you know, people heal in different ways, and you know, it is what it is. Like you get put through things to make you stronger, and when you've hit rock bottom, there's nowhere left to go. And I hit rock bottom. Like I said it before, like I didn't want to be here, and I went through such a suicidal, like depressive stage, but it's like I accepted it, and I was planning things, and like my mum's gonna be okay if I get this sorted for her, and like Reese will be okay if I just make sure he's okay, then I can go. Like that was my mindset, and people were like, you're doing amazing, and I was booking like a campaign, and then I had that shoot, and these are the things that younger Iesha's prayed for and asked for and worked so hard for, but you know, Iesha 8 months ago was like preparing not to be here anymore.
So, can I ask, like, what was the turning point for you? Because, like, did you have a turning point? Or was it something that gradually happened?
I think apologies go a long way when they're meant.
Okay.
I think I had an apology. So there was different scenarios. So like one required an apology. Obviously take that as you will of who that was from. And one required understanding, i.e. my little brother. One required patience, my older brother. And then another one required just the truth, and that was my mum. And I just, because all of these things were happening around me, they weren't happening to me.
Yeah.
And that was my turning point when I was going to therapy. I was speaking to her, and it was as I was talking, going off on a tangent, as you've seen that I do, and I just stopped and was like, wow, I'm explaining different people's lives, but it's not mine. Like, it's actually not mine, and good things are happening for me and to me, like directly. Like, I'm booking these shoots that I want to book onto. Granted, you know, I've always wanted to lose this weight. I've never wanted to be a curvy girl. Like, I really have never wanted to be. And I've had like, my confidence has just been like plummeting when I was a lot curvier. And then I've lost this weight, but I never acknowledged it because I was always focused on something else. So all of the things like on my vision board, because who doesn't love a vision board, I was ticking off, but I never acknowledged it. And so the depression was setting in because it was like, well, what have you achieved?
Yeah,
because all year you've just cried.
You're just striving for more and more all the time.
Yeah.
So then you don't really ever celebrate your little wins.
100%. And I think when you don't feel good enough, whether that be in a relationship or like in a family setting, whether that be you're trying to help someone and you don't feel like you can do as much as you want to, or just for yourself, like you feel like you can't be as selfish as you want to be because your attention's elsewhere, and then you're beating yourself up because age comes into it, because we're women and we've got a time clock. Men don't, but we do, and there's this pressure of, you know, when I'm 30 and when I'm 35 and when I'm 40.
It's mental, isn't it?
Yeah, like I thought my life would be, when I was 21, I thought I'd have my life sorted at 25. Ha! Hilarious. What a joke, honestly. It's because scary. I only now know myself, and I'm turning 30 next week.
Yeah. I feel like it's crazy because I feel like I can relate to you in a lot of things that you say, even just the like knowing who you are, and I've only really started feeling like that. I've just turned 28, and I feel like there was loads of things I wanted when I was like 21, 24. Would have never ever been able to get to those places though had I not gone through like what I have up to now. But I also see in you, which I feel like you must know, you always just seem to like want to give to other people, and that you feel a responsibility to do that. And I can very, very much relate to that. I feel like I've always been that person who I feel a responsibility to put others before myself.
But it comes at a cost.
It does, and I think everything you've just said proves that it does. So I think I'm really glad to hear that you've had that separation and been able to really realise like just how far you've come. Just because I do believe like that's really important. I was saying the other week, like when I was recording another episode, that a lot of things for me didn't change because my life changed. It changed because my perspective changed.
100%. And I think that's when you were saying to me, where was your turning point? You're so good at finding my actual answer in the tangent of what I say.
It's because I'm the same, I understand.
But honestly, sometimes my mum goes, get to the point, and I'm like, sorry, round the houses, Kay, fire the question at me again, and she goes, this is the question. I'm like, okay, 10-second answer, because otherwise, like, I talk her ear off. That is literally the point that I wanted to get to, which I never. Like, you couldn't have hit the nail on the head anymore, but it does come at a cost. It really does, because when you're putting so many people before you, you become a people pleaser.
Oh yeah.
And I'm still working on it. I'm a people pleaser still to this day, and I'm so trying to work on it.
Me
I really
too.
am.
If you find out how to like get past it, then do let me know.
Yeah, I'll try. If there's a recipe, I will send it over. But I'd say that was my turning point of, honestly, apologies go a long way, because all you want to do is be heard sometimes, and that's part of the healing. Therapy really does help.
Yeah.
If you are feeling suicidal or you are anxious, medication if needed. If not, therapy does the trick. But honestly, like, I cannot give enough credit to Shredfast. Like, I genuinely can't. I can't give enough credit to Shredfast. And if this is like an appeal, but if anyone is ever feeling like they don't know where to go, they don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, they don't know how to put one foot in front of the other, they don't know how to explain how they're feeling or why they feel that way, or maybe they do but they can't put it into words, or they've got high expectations of themselves and they don't know how to achieve it and they just don't want to be here anymore. I kid you not, go to Shredfast. Go to Shred, because it's not. Look, there's times where I've not gone for a good few weeks, there's times I've not gone for at least 2 months, but there's times like last year and now where you have the consistent cycles, and you know when it's good for you to go consistently, and you know when a class here and there is good. But just the whole energy, there's so many different types of people, so you will resonate with someone and they kind of have that mentorship in there. If you want to talk, you can. If you don't, they'll just train you to the point of like no return, and you will love yourself that way.
Oh, I love that. But I do actually want to ask, when we're talking about Shredfast, is this just something you sign up to? Is it like what is it?
So this is like so unwarranted as well. I don't know why I felt the need to say, but I think because I had a PT there. I'm not gonna get upset.
Oh.
I had a PT there, and I don't think they realised that they.
It's okay. Cry.
PTs always get like this like dodgy image, especially with females as well, and honestly, like, even if you're a woman and you go to Shredfast, like, they're the most respectable people. And I had a PT there that I don't think realised that he saved me on multiple occasions just by showing up.
Wow.
Because there was nights where I was training 3 times over in a day. 3 times over in a day, and I mean, like, a tear actually dropped. Why?
Still look beautiful.
I was lost. I didn't know what to do with myself. I didn't know how to fix like loved ones scenarios that I wanted to. I didn't know how to fix my relationship at the time. I didn't know how to also let go of things that I had no control of, because sometimes when you let go of things, it stops hurting, whereas holding on to it can hurt you more. I didn't have these tools, and I was instead throwing myself into work, throwing myself into shoots, and then training 3 times a day. So I was training at 5 a.m, then I was going on my lunch and training 45 minutes on the pads, boxing, and then I'd train in the evening at 6:30 or 7.
Wow.
And it got to the point, and it was just because I didn't want to sit in my own thoughts, because it was like having an audience in my head. 50,000 thoughts, all different opinions, all different outlooks, and none of them shut up. Like, they just did not stop. And there was times where they probably wanted to say to me, go home. Like, go home. And there was times where I was probably erratic and was like, woo, around the gym. And there was times where I said, please don't talk to me because I'll cry, and just let me hit the pads. And whatever I needed was facilitated. And then the classes, second to none. You'll never experience a class like it.
Wow.
Never.
I need to give this a go.
A hot sauna room, infrared sauna room with kettlebell workouts for 45 minutes to an hour, depending on how long you want to stay. And when you think, you're in the gym, you push yourself to your limit. That's not your limit. Go to a class. promise you'll exceed it. And the sweat that comes out of you, it's like, you know, the way, do you believe in energy?
Yeah.
I'm such a believer on energy. You know, when you're in a room and you don't know what anyone's going through.
Yeah.
Everyone's pushing to get through some sort of pain, whether it be physical, mental, emotional, whatever it may be. Everyone's in there for a reason. No one needs to talk about it if they don't want to. And if they do, there's a cafe that you can go and sit and have a chat with someone. If you don't want to, the moments where you want to put that weight down and you're like, I can't do anymore, and you've got some stranger next to you going, pick it up, like shouting at you. Like, have you seen that SAS Who Dares Wins?
Yeah.
Picture those men, those types of men that are like, pick it up, stop giving up on yourself, pick it up. You're in the room for a reason, pick it up. And you do it. And it didn't only work on me, it worked on my older brother, and it helped him with his mentality. And this is a guy who's mentally strong, who is like, you know, I'm the breadwinner and I'm like the father figure that I never had. Like he really was to me without knowing it, and he needed help, and it helped him. Like it really did. So that's just two different types of people right there that this class helped. And don't get me wrong, sometimes you physically want to throw up, it's not easy, and you contemplate your whole life in there, but it's like you feel accomplished when you come out of there, and you feel that feeling of accomplishment makes you proud that you survived that day and you didn't give up and you didn't quit and you didn't end it.
Yeah, makes you sound so resilient, even just talking through all of that. That's amazing though, that really is. If
I could genuinely, I remember I got stick off for going there from said person previously, and I remember I had to convince my older brother as well, like, no, it's not like that, and in the end I just continue to do it for me. I continue to do it for me, but honestly I don't think I'd ever be able to say it to them. Maybe one day I will, but who knows, they might listen to this and hear it. Like they genuinely saved me. There was times where I'd planned on ending things after going there.
Wow.
And because of how I felt afterwards, I didn't.
That's amazing.
So that helped me massively.
You're giving me goosebumps.
Sorry, that's like so heavy, isn't it?
Yeah, but that's kind of like, I feel like that's what people need to hear. If somebody's in that situation who's listening to this, that's going to help them knowing that.
Yeah.
And that's why I do think it's really nice when people open up. There's no shame in it.
Yeah.
And I do think you'll really enjoy doing a podcast. I
Because I don't shut up.
No, but it is like therapy for me. I remember I stopped doing it for a few months because I let everything get the better of me, and I missed it so much. Even though I was having therapy anyway at the same time, I just missed actually sitting down and just running away from myself, literally. And I think you'll be really, really good at it. I've absolutely loved having you on. What would you say is like next for you then? Because I know you're a very busy gal, clearly. You mentioned the acting school. What's going on with that?
Yeah, I graduated from acting school years ago. I think the only reason why I got into clinic work was because of COVID.
Yeah.
Because clinics didn't close, medical centres didn't close, and I thought, you know, everything to do with modelling and acting and you know, beauty-esque wise closed. Like there was no income. So what looks gonna get me now? You know, like what am I gonna do? And of course, a lot of girls turn to OnlyFans, and I just could never.
No.
I'm not against it. Like if it fits you, hats off to you. But for me, like it's just not for me.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what made me go into the clinic. So I think for me, to pursue a dream that I've had since a little girl within acting is what I really want to dabble in with. Like I do, and I've dipped in and out of it over the years, but I really want to see what I can do with that. I'd like to say I'm a go-getter. Like when I create that vision board, I have to tick off those things. And since I've decided that, you know, I am gonna be here and I'm not going anywhere to another world or whatever, I've got no choice but to push myself, because I am not living a mediocre life.
No.
And I am not having regrets, and I am not having if buts or maybes, or watching something on the TV thinking that could have been me. So for me, I think more healing is necessary, because I'm only just at the beginning stages, which is probably why this podcast has been predominantly about like all the triumphs and trials that I've had. I'm partly cringing at some of the stuff that I've spoken about. I wish it was a little bit more like la-di-da and airy-fairy, but
next time.
yeah.
I think it's really important, all the stuff you've talked about, like, that's like my favourite episodes, when people really just go in on how they feel.
40 minutes on Shredfast.
It's amazing. I think it wasn't quite 40 minutes, but no, it's relatable, and it's so nice to listen to, and I think you should be just so proud of yourself. Like, I said it to you from the second I saw you today, like, you look amazing, you look like you're absolutely smashing it. Like, you might not always feel like you're that confident, but you definitely come across that way, and that's half the battle. Just like convincing yourself.
Do you know half the battle I say is just showing up? Do you know how hard it is to get out of bed sometimes?
I know.
Like, and I get everyone gets that. Everyone feels that way, and I think if the world, not even the world, if people were just a bit kinder, I think it would be easier for a lot of people that are suffering internally that don't talk.
Yeah.
Like, no matter what sex you are, I purposely say that instead of saying male or female, because I don't want anyone to come for me. But yeah, I just hope that people are a little bit kinder and a little bit more open to understanding everyone's going through something. It's just we've been taught things either by our parents, grandparents, friends, family members, of how to deal with it, and most of it is generational. Of how they've gone through it and how they dealt with things, and you have to just decide whether you're going to pick yourself up and do better for yourself, or whether you're going to sit there and be a failure for yourself. Really.
And I've had a bit of an epiphany recently, because it's kind of like what you were saying really resonated with me, where you were like, I can either, you know, sit and watch the telly and like think that could be me, or like look at other people doing things and think that could be me. You're at a point where you kind of gotta realise that half of the thing that's just standing in your way of getting to there is just you.
100%. I think that's always been inside me. I think that's always been inside of you though. Otherwise, number one, you wouldn't have your podcast now. And I think, you know, the fact that you've got your own home, which is gorgeous by the way.
Thank you.
I think that's already installed in you as well. I think maybe you've just grown into it more over the years. For me, it was being more of like, I always felt like I had a point to prove, even from a teenager. Like,
sounds like
I think when even when I was in school, of like, you know, the MOBO Awards.
No.
Yes. Do you know what the MOBO Awards are? That's hilarious. If you do, that makes me feel so old.
I feel like I remember, I've heard it, and I'm going to feel stupid when I find out.
That's fine. Google it. Google
I
MOBO
will.
Awards. Think of the Brits, but it's like Music of Black Origin Awards.
Okay. Yeah.
So
I've heard it loads of times, but just can't think what MOBO would stand for.
Yeah,
that's
and I hope I've got that right, because wow. My word. But even in school, when like teachers were doing all of that and all those, you know, you can't do this and you can't do that, as much as everyone was fighting and like, you know, that's so wrong, I was too busy focusing on going to the MOBOs, because I'd been asked to work there, and it was like, I'm going to prove you's wrong in that sense. I've never been one to stand in front of someone and argue back with them when they're telling me I can't and I'm telling them I can. I'm much more of a doer, like
just
yourself.
Take action,
I'd rather let you say what you're saying and just take action, because my actions will prove that I'm right.
Yeah.
The same for you, like your actions prove that, you know, you are made for so much more, and you're doing it for yourself, rather than sitting there thinking, but what if?
I did do that for a long time though. I did.
Really?
I did that for a long time, just because I didn't believe in myself, but I think it's also knowing that you're not always going to feel like it, and you're not always going to feel like you want to do it, but thinking about the reason why you want to do it is what keeps you going. You know, you don't think every single day, I really want, like, I'm dead motivated every day. If you only went off motivation, you'd never take any action.
I would always think that you are so, like, self-motivated.
Really?
Yeah.
I would only say in the past couple of months even, I've actually thought, no, Nadia, if this is the life that you want, like, this is what you're gonna have to fucking do, and you can't take no for an answer.
Love that. Yeah.
And
I wish I was that strong.
Yeah, but you are. You literally are. And it was only last week that, obviously this is more of like another level of things, which I'm not going to go into massively because I'll open a can of worms, but I
feel like I've opened a can of worms with some of the topics I've spoken about. I'm like counting 6 people right now that might be angry with me, so I'm like,
it's fine. They'll get over it. But it was only last week, like, I don't know if like you know this, and like people who listen will probably be aware, but my mum isn't very well, and she's like, you know, in ill health, and I was looking after her last week because my dad was having a break.
Oh, sure.
And it was only like last week I feel bad saying this, but I was half dreading going and spending the week with her, because I think for me it's that feeling of acceptance that I hadn't quite realised yet, or hadn't got to, or like, you know, wanting to sort of see, like, that's me now and then that's her. It's more the other way round of a mother and daughter. But it did me so much, like, it was actually one of the best weeks I've ever had. Like, it was so wholesome, it was so lovely, and it only just gave me, like, it gave me that little thing that I needed to just look at her and be like, I don't ever want you to struggle. Like, I just don't. Like, I just don't want to ever see you need to, you know, she'd be telling me all these things about, like, what she did for us when we were kids, and I just thought, I don't ever want to see you go without, or see you struggle, or I don't want you to just see me, as you say, like, lead like just a mediocre life. Like, I feel like more responsibility more than ever, and pressure. And it's like, you know, in a way, it's not sad that I feel this way, but I'm not very good at taking action for myself. But when I have to take action, knowing that I'm doing something for someone else, my power comes through. And when it's someone who I love so much, someone who's brought me up, someone who has given me everything, I want to give her everything. And now when I'm sat there and I'm coming home from, you know, my 9 to 5, going straight on either like working on my podcast, thinking about all the other things that I want to do, and thinking, fucking hell, I just want to sit down tonight and not do anything. It's not the thought of me and the life I'm going to give me that keeps me going. It's the thought of what I can give to her and to my dad. And that's like the difference. I respect
that so much.
But I feel like you're the same though. Like that shines through for me, as in, like, just how much you do for other people. But
do you think?
It just, to me, it just seems that way. Yeah.
Do you think?
I do. In everything that you've said.
When you say that, it's crazy, isn't it? Because what you see in others, sometimes you don't see in yourself.
Yeah.
Because when you are mentioning this, I'm like, wow, like, you remind me so much of my mum.
Really?
Yeah, like, so strong, so fierce, like, will do anything to help and support someone, especially someone that they love.
Do. I don't think I'm actually like, ugh.
No, it's fine. I dropped a tear. It's time for you to.
Yeah, but I have like a Kim K cry face, and
me and you both.
It's not pretty,
no.
And I've cried and wailed plenty of times on this podcast, but not when I've been on camera.
Don't even look at that. That's fine.
So yeah, but it means a lot for you to actually say that, for me to hear that, because I've almost felt a little bit like a bit guilt almost that I've not looked after them more than I have now, like up to now. But I'm not a believer of like thinking about a coulda, shoulda, woulda. I'm just like, what can I do now?
Look, don't feel guilty, because this is like a big sister talk now.
Yeah.
If roles were reversed and you were sick, your mum would feel the same. But because it's your mum, you feel like you need to do more, but she's the adult, you're the child. The roles were never meant to be the other way around.
No, I know.
But the way things have had it is, I'm sure that you're opening doors for her and making her have realisations and life experiences that she never thought that she would have without you. and vice versa for you as well, so that when you have your daughter, you'll be able to love so much more abundantly, so much more honestly. You'll be able to give her things that probably you never had, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that's what our parents are there to help us realise, no matter what way or what form it comes from. And I think by you acknowledging that you've needed you time, that's okay. Like, that is okay.
Yeah.
Because without you needing you time, you can't be the best version for your mum.
No, 100%. And it took me a while to realise that, but it's definitely true. Like, taking a bit of a step back has made me such a better person, because I know myself more and I feel a lot more healed, and it is good. And it's like, it's so weird because it actually took, I'd say I've seen like a huge change in myself over years, but especially in the past even like 6 months. And I tell you, it's so weird to even say this, but the one thing that was keeping me relying on other people and constantly feeling like I couldn't do it for myself was having other people there that I knew I could lean on. So to say it in this way, when I had my mum, like, you know, like when she was full of health and like she was like, you know, how she was before, I would lean on her for everything. I would talk to her about everything. Well, not everything, but I would lean on her, and I'd always think, okay, I'll be fine because I have her. And then when I seen her become this very fragile, you know,
it's almost like you become a little girl, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what I mean. And it made me be like, oh my god, like who do I go to? And then my sister has always been that person for me as well. You know, I'll talk to her about everything. And in September she moved to Dubai, and that for me was the biggest turning point, because if I didn't have my mum, which I obviously do still have her and I can speak to her, and it's more that I choose not to, because I don't like to put things onto her. But when I didn't have my mum, I had my sister. And then when my sister wasn't around, that was like, shit, I've got to, even though I speak to her every day on fucking WhatsApp, whatever, this is like, okay, that's it now. I've got to fend for myself. I've got to be the adult that I've been kidding myself that I've been for however many years, like I hadn't. And I've realised at that moment, I've always looked to other people to be like, you're going to be the reason that I'm okay. You're going to be the reason that I've got my shit together.
Instead of I'm going to be that.
And it's only...
But that takes time.
Yeah, it's only been since actually a load of stuff happened, you know, like me, and then, you know, my mum like went through a really bad spell, my sister was moving and whatever, but obviously thankfully that turned around, and then my sister left. But that time in the past like 6 months has been something that's been so hard for me, but it's forced me to grow. And I feel truly like I've had even further of like an awakening in a way, of where I've like finally come into myself and finally thought, do you know what, no one else is going to do this for me, like nobody else is. And that's where I am now. And isn't it, it's just so weird. And that's what I mean when I'll always talk about how you'll want things and you'll ask for things, and then you have to go through so much shit to get there, but then you forget that you asked for that. And you didn't ask for all these bad things.
Because when you ask for something, I think what we seem to forget is when you ask for something, whether you believe in a higher power, God, you know, the universe, whatever you believe in, for me it's God, and I resonate with calling him Allah. So whenever I'm making duas, prayers, for those who don't know at the back, you ask for a solution. You don't ask for the journey to be easy, because you forget to ask that. You always just ask for the outcome. So whatever way you seem to get there, and you're presented with this outcome that you've asked for, the journey's the journey.
I know. And it's so weird because you don't realise until you get to where you've asked for.
Be careful what you ask for, because are you going to be... It's like when you ask for patience, do you think that you're going to be presented with just an abundance of patience, like a bunch of roses, or are you going to be trialed and tested to the point of where you have to work on it? It really, like my grandma, rest her soul, she always used to say, be careful what you ask for. Because she really lived by that, and I think that's why I laugh at myself now, even like it's Ramadan now, and you know, with fasting I actually need to drink more water. When we're making prayers, it's written that when you make, which you'll already know, obviously your mum fasts as well, when you're travelling your prayers are answered more because you're trying to multitask, and and then obviously in Ramadan all of the bad and the evil is locked away, and that's your month to focus and ask for what you want and repent and all the rest of it. A very quick summary, by the way, before anyone comes at me from that community as well. Targeting everyone here. It's literally a case of you need to be so solid in what you're asking for, but be so open for how you're going to get it. Because if you don't know what you're asking for, you're just going to be presented with 15,000 scenarios. When you know what you're asking for and you leave it up to God, the universe, higher power, whatever you believe in, or yourself, you then have to be open for how you're going to get it. You can set out a plan, but plans change. Like, not every day is the same. So having that accountability of knowing that you're leaving it up to higher power ultimately, but you're going to do everything you can every day to achieve what you want, then you cannot feel guilty because you're doing everything in your power. So whether that be you know, with your podcast or modelling or home, and generally just being a good partner or having a good friendship or sister, daughter, whatever, all of those things can add up to little pressures. And when you know that you want a good family life and at some point you want children and you want your mum to be around and healthy and then you want your podcast to take off, and maybe you'll dabble in modelling or you're not too sure. There's so many different avenues, and if you exhaust yourself with step 1 to 12 of how you're going to achieve everyone, you'll miss out on the journey, and the journey is the best part. Says the girl who was not happy last year, but the journey is the best part, because that's the story. No one opens, I'm so cliche, no one opens a book and then goes to the last chapter and finds out the ending. It's the story that you read, and that's what you then tell people.
Do you know, I've not even heard someone say it like that, but it literally like means so much, because that's what you feel like sometimes. You feel like a bit of a robot and you're like, I just need to get this done and then I'll be there. If you like actually stop and like realise what's going on around you and be present, like that's when everything is like the most magical. And it's hard to be grateful on the days that you, like, let's face it, we're women, hormones are horrendous. Try ADHD and autism on top of it. I'm like the film Split, wasn't it? It was Patricia. Like, Patricia comes to life now and again, honestly. But as a woman, the pressures that we put on ourselves, the timeline that's put on us to achieve things, have a family, have your career sorted, don't change lanes, God forbid you change, like, you know, be straight from the get-go on what you want. It's never going to be that way. It's like, embrace every version of you, because you're going to change, whether that be every year, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, you're going to be a different version of yourself. If you ask your mum and dad if they're the same version of themselves when they first met, guaranteed they say no. But they still love each other, and they've grown together, and they've had to fall back in love with each other. And how beautiful is that of a story? I know, and you almost need to give yourself that story. Yeah, you have to fall in love with yourself. I'm so glad that you came along with that little rant there. But you have to you have to give yourself that love. You have to fall back in love with yourself over and over and over again. And there's times where you're not going to love yourself. And unfortunately that is, I mean, if someone does 24/7, let me know how you do it. What's your secret? I mean, I walked through the door here and I apologised 15 times about the way I looked, my makeup, my hair, which you definitely did, clinic wear, you know, blah, blah, blah. When really, if we just present ourselves and that's our best self for that day, don't apologise, that's your best, you get another day tomorrow. Yeah, definitely. You know, like, don't apologise. If someone compliments you, take the compliment, believe it. You know, if you look at yourself in the mirror and think, I actually look really good today, say it to yourself in the mirror. I know it sounds crazy, my mum laughs at me all the time, I talk to myself all the time, but it's just because I was this most self-conscious, like,
horrendously harsh on myself. I didn't enjoy anything. I didn't understand how to be in a crowded room and be comfortable. Didn't understand how to like show up to events, because I didn't understand like the build up to everyone having fun and then the come down when everyone's going home. Didn't understand that. That was like emotional irregularity, strange, just constant like waves. But when you realise that everyone's putting on a mask, everyone's trying their best, you know, you might be in Asda or Waitrose. I don't know where you shop.
Do definitely not shop in Waitrose.
Morrison's. Literally, you might be in whatever supermarket and feeling your worst, but someone's looking at you and thinking, that is what I want to be. Because I can tell you now, when I was a little girl and I used to see you at school, I used to pray that I'd be as beautiful as you.
No, you didn't. That's a lie.
May God strike me down right now.
No,
it is Ramadan, I cannot lie. No, I'm being serious. I remember stopping you at the school gates of primary school. I don't know why this has just come to me, but I do. I remember asking you like how you got your hair like that, or how, and you were like, you looked at me like, who are you and why is that? But it was because I just moved to that school. Yeah, it was. And I was like 6 foot for like 8 years old. I was always tall, big curly hair. But I remember because you were literally like Pocahontas to me. No. You were like this Disney princess. Honestly, you were like this Disney princess. If I pictured what I wanted to be like at that age, I remember I used to, that makes me sound like I'm like Jeffrey Dahmer. I used to watch you. And then that's hilarious, like that series You and narrating where you was at dinner time. No. But
you definitely knew. It's coming out now.
In that little line, Milk and Toast. No, honestly, and it's funny because I genuinely thought you were the most beautiful girl that I aspired to be like, and I used to love when your mum picked you up, because I used to think, I was never ashamed of having a white mum, never, but I used to love how proud your mum was when she used to pick you up and how tall she walked, and I used to look at you of what I wanted to be like as a little girl, and I used to look at your mum, and your mum obviously doesn't know me from Adam, and I used to be like, I'm gonna walk that tall, and I'm gonna be that proud when I do that. And I was in primary school, like how crazy for a child to think like that.
I know.
But because my mum was like, I mean, my mum was amazing, and she has her own like glory to hold, and she really does wear that crown well. But to be a mixed race woman and know that you're different and figure out how to hold your head high and how to walk into a room when someone's telling you that you're too much, you're too loud, you're too confident, humble yourself, all these things. And your mum used to come up and slay with them outfits.
She did.
Your mum used to have the best outfits, and she used to have the sleekest hair, like the sleekest, shiniest of hair. This is a little girl that had big curly hair and like freckles, and you know, and yeah, like my mum gave me confidence in other ways, like as a woman, as a mother, as a nurturer, but you and your mum gave me confidence that you didn't even know, just that's by crazy. Living your day-to-day lives and me watching it.
I would not have even like had a clue. Like I wouldn't.
Sorry even to make you cry.
No, even hearing you say that, just like it made me cry. I'm actually like speechless to hear you say that, because I'm just like, I mean, again, like not to keep like tearing myself down, but just as somebody who's never, I suppose, seeing that in themselves, it just feels mental, like to hear someone say that. And everything that you're saying is like probably how I feel about how I see you now. Like I see everything that you're doing, and again, I'll keep saying it, because you appear so confident, you appear to be doing all these things that I want to be doing, and I don't feel like I have in me.
You do.
But I feel like this whole conversation sort of proves that it's purely like your perception of somebody, and you've got to change 100%. Your perspective of yourself.
100%, yeah. Like there's things, I don't feel like I'm doing half as much as what I should be. I don't feel like I've achieved everything that I've wanted to. I am so harsh on myself. I don't look in the mirror and be like, woo. Like, I just don't. I really don't.
You should.
But it's crazy because the same way I'm saying thank you, but the same way that I say to you in Asda or Waitrose or whatever, Whole Foods, wherever you shop, whatever day it is, whether you're running late or what, so you catch someone's eye. Like, you don't realise it, but you do. Everyone in life does, because everyone's always searching for something. And you never know who's looking, you never know who's watching, and that sounds really creepy. Jeffrey Dahmer. But
you watching me in school.
No, cut that out. It's 3 o'clock and just leaving the school again. That's hilarious. I'll never watch the series You the same ever again now. But yeah, you always catch someone's eye, and it's because people are always looking for inspiration somewhere, and you don't realise that you are somebody's inspiration by just being you. Like, you didn't know at 8, 9, 10 years old you were my inspiration, and I was older than you.
No,
But you
no
was.
idea.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And your mum will never have known that I looked up to her. And don't get me wrong, I had strong black women in my life, you know, family members that really did install a lot of things into me that were positive. But it's always the people who aren't in your immediate close that end up giving you these lessons that you didn't realise.
Yeah.
And your mum was one of them for me, for sure. Like, for sure.
Crazy.
Yeah.
She's an absolute diamond, and she's still her, and she's still got that fire about her, but seeing like the woman who was so confident and like just so like outspoken and just didn't care about what other people think, that is who I'm trying to be and trying to maintain, to make sure that, you know, no matter what happens, that I'll always be able to not have to, I suppose, go through some of the things she went through, and just to make sure that I'm doing like a credit to her, do you know what I mean? And just to make sure that realistically I can go to bed at night and be like, I've tried everything I could today to make that.
What is it you want to prove to her? What is it that you're
just that, like, you can be strong, and that there's like almost in a way that strength that you've got can just keep going and keep going. Doesn't matter, you know, we were saying like different phases of life, you're not always going to love yourself, you're going to be different people at different stages. But just to really show her that even though you go through those different stages and you might feel like you're not yourself, you still are, and you should still love that version of you. And I just ultimately want to prove to her that like loving yourself and being like just unapologetically you is just like enough, you know.
Do you not think that she sees that every day that you live your life?
She does love me, she does love me to pieces, yeah. And like I feel like she's probably not said those words.
Of course, it's self-pressure that you of course. I've watched my mum do it, and I do it with my mum. Yeah. I watched my mum when my gran was passing away, and she was harsh on it, like she ripped herself apart, and I'm actually thankful that I was part of a process of building her back up, because I got to see who, like, my mum's name's Lindsay, and I got to see who Lindsay was. Like, I got to really see who she was, flaws and all. She wasn't just mum. Like, she stood on her own, and her name suits her well, and I knew who she was. And I think with your mum transitioning through this part of her life and figuring out who this version of herself is, it can be hard, and it can be, I'm sure it can be numbing at times with how painful it is. You will never be any closer to your mum than when you're helping her rebuild.
And that's what I mean, like, I just really want to show to her that, like, doesn't matter where she is now, what's going on, she's still her. Yeah. And she can still love herself just as much.
I think she'll listen to you talking on here, and I hope that
she'll be sobbing.
I think she'll be sobbing.
She will. But it's weird, isn't it? Because you can't always say that directly to somebody.
Cool.
But I do know last week when I was with her all the time, she was having a ball. She loved it.
Yeah.
And I did too. And it, like, again, gave me that extra bit of, like, healing that I didn't realise I needed.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. And why was you, if you don't mind me asking, you don't need to talk about it, but why did you dread that week?
Because I was still in denial, I think. Like, I haven't lived with my mum for years. I haven't lived with her the whole time that she's been ill, like, full time, lived with her. And
how old are you now?
28. Spend pockets of time with somebody, and they, obviously, like, to me, she's still her, and she'll never not be her. But you spend pockets of time with somebody, and I think in the back of my mind I still don't like realising the situation she's in, because maybe it fills me with so much, and I don't know why, it fills me with so much guilt.
Yeah, I get that.
So I was thinking, I wasn't dreading it, but I was more thinking, how am I going to kind of get through it? Because as far as she knows as well, I, from the minute found out that she wasn't well, have kept myself so strong in front of her. So it was me being like, when I don't have my time to run away, how am I going to keep being strong?
Yeah.
But
it's that mask.
Yeah. But I was, and in fact, we had a laugh. We had a great time. Like,
sometimes the strongest moments come from your weakest.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know where these quotes are coming
I
from.
know, what an absolute roll.
But honestly, if there's anything from watching, I don't know your mum's situation, or like, and I'm doing that ADHD thing here when I'm trying to like resonate with you, but the scenarios that I've been through with my mum, I mean, gosh, she's never had a life-threatening illness, you know, but I've watched her go through that with her mum. And having to pick up the pieces in that sense, and my mother grieving her mother, you know. And I completely understand when you're saying that you dreaded certain moments, because there's no time for you, there's no escape. That mask has to be glued on, like with super glue. Like, times that got to be hold hairspray is on it, like that has to be on. And I think that is where our anxiety comes from in those scenarios, but not once am I trying to take away the fact of what you're going through and having to deal with your mum. And I'd really take my hat off to you, because I think you're doing an incredible job. I think you hold yourself so well and so ladylike, and
most of the time you don't see
honestly. I think let Ramadan pass and then we'll go for dinner. But no, all jokes aside, I genuinely think that you are an inspiration, and if your mum is going to listen to this, regardless of the tangents that I've been on in the 2-hour conversation, there's really golden moments there that I hope that she hears from you. And even if you don't feel strong enough to say it to her, I think it will resonate with her, because you are living proof that your mum's a success. Like, let me say that again for you. You are living proof that your mum is success. You're going to set me off. Like, honestly.
Thank you so much. And I actually want to say thank you as well, because like I don't often, when I'm on a guest episode, get to actually talk about anything that's going on with me. I often just sit and listen. And I love that, but it's been really nice as well to, I suppose, have so much that we could talk about that we really understand from like each other. But like to have you like listen and like talk through things has been really nice, so thank you.
No problem, thank you for having me. I apologise for going off on tangents at the moment.
No.
I think we said let's start off with school, and then we jumped to 29. But hopefully there'll be we can do more episodes where I'm not in workwear and actually have a blow dry.
Well, we'll have to make sure we've got a good camera on that time, just so that we can
I think this is the beginning of a really nice, potentially a few episodes with us, and I'd hope to do a few more with you. Or maybe even on mine.
I would love it. Please ask me on.
I will, sure.
And you know, now you've said it, you need to do it. So I'm going to be making sure that you
100%.
get going with it.
Put things into the atmosphere. You have to do it. But honestly, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for opening up your home and your space to me.
That's okay.
I
Thank
appreciate
you so much for coming on. It's honestly been like so nice, and I can't wait to see like what is ahead and what's next for you. Like,
thanks, I appreciate that. Me too. I think, as I said, last year was absolutely horrendous. But I think this year is like, you know, so many good things. I've just booked a really fab campaign, you know, no evil eye. You know, I'm about to turn 30. Like, I'm coming into a new lease of life. Looking forward to a holiday. Like, you know, there's a lot of things that I'm grateful for. I'm grateful, you know, for work, and not only modelling and acting and stuff, but with my clinic work as well. Keeping myself busy, shred fast. Like, no, this is like an Oscar speech, isn't it? Thankful to the crowd at the back.
Manifesting.
Thankful to the postman. Honestly, do you know what? I'm even grateful for the really shitty times. And I think if that's one thing that I can offer advice to for you is, even in your darkest of days, be grateful. Because I promise you, you will look back and think that you can get through anything. Because anything. Because if I got through last year, I can achieve anything.
It's weird, isn't it? Because those times what you feel at the most low is actually what makes you know that you can do anything, that builds your confidence.
100%. If you can achieve every day that you feel like you can't do it, you can't be strong enough, and you do it, not only for your mum but for you and for your little brother and for your partner and everyone else, like, then tomorrow you can do it 10 times over.
Unstoppable.
100%.
We're both unstoppable now.
Literally 100%. But I'll stop warning you with all of the quotes.
No, you're not. I love it. I absolutely love it.
Thank you anyway, and I look forward to hopefully our next one. Yes,
definitely. And thank you so much for coming on, and thank you to everybody who's listened to us. But do you know what? I've no doubt that these conversations are going to help somebody, and I really feel a lot of pride in that. And it's been
me too. It's been cute.
And it's going to be even cuter next time.
But it's been cute.
Be even cuter next time. But thank you so much for listening, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.